Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Boxes and Elbows. As you can see, I'm in a little different environment, and I was thinking about making this podcast kind of unique. A lot of podcasts just talk about basketball, and they have like these, funny stories or whatever, and they try to clip. And a lot of other podcasts also just have like studios, and they sit in one place, and they just sit on a couch, and they have really good camera quality or whatever, and it looks cool. And I just want to switch it up. I want it to be a product of my environment, and I felt like being in my room, sitting there on my desk making these episodes kind of got boring, and if I did that for the next, let's say, 2 years, I'd just be burnt out very quickly, which I did mention in the last podcast on why I basically started this podcast was to not get burned out and just to have some creativity and whatnot. And yeah, I'm in a different environment, and the goal is to be in a different environment every episode. So whether it's in my room at the desk, outside like I'm here on the deck, or just somewhere unique. I actually wanted to do an episode in Central Park, uh, and that's gonna be a little crazy because bringing my podcast equipment and finding a spot and whatnot and not being disturbed. But honestly, at the same time, being disturbed kind of makes for good content, as long as it's not some crazy person or some homeless person begging for money or anything like that. But yeah, since I'm focusing on making more video content for these podcast episodes, and as some of you may know, I on Spotify, I don't just have the audio version, I have the video version along with it. But you can also subscribe to YouTube, and there's a bug near me. Great. Yep, I'll find bugs. That's okay. Um, and yeah, so we're gonna get into the meat of this episode, which is ranking top 10 small forwards. Last episode or 2 episodes ago, I ranked the top 10 shooting guards, and I got some good feedback. And somehow I left Derek White out, which I don't know how I did that. And a lot of my list was just like wrong according to some people, which that's what I want. I want your opinions out there. I want you guys to make your own lists and compare them to mine, because my list could very well be wrong. I mentioned that I thought my list was perfect, and yeah, it's just there's just no way it's perfect. Like a list like that is also just fluid. Like someone could drop out of the top 10. Like for example, I think the shooting guard list specifically, I think Tyler Hero is gonna drop out of the top 10 just because he's not gonna be playing winning basketball in Milwaukee, and I really value that in a lot of my rankings, like whether you're playing winning basketball or not. And yeah, so we're gonna be ranking the top 10 small forwards, and I think this list should be the easiest list as far as like a lot of these players in the top 10 deserve to be in the top 10, and just it's just whether the order you have is what you want. And I also want to mention that I am outside, right? So like the Canadian wildfires happened, and it's really smoky outside. And when initially I wanted to do this episode, I forgot about that. I thought it was going to be a nice, chill, sunny day. And nope, the smoke is still out here. So if you hear me coughing during the episode, it's probably because of the smoke in the air. And then we're going to talk about the Liberty, because the Liberty are not doing very well, and I want to break down what's going on with them. And then we're going to get into some fan questions and some NBA trivia at the end, like we always do. So I think I'm just going to head right into the ranking of the top 10 small forwards. Now, when I was making this list, I kind of forgot about some people while making it, and then I remembered um, the seasons that a couple of these guys had. And the playoffs do factor into this. So if you did have a good playoff run, that does boost you. If you had a bad playoff run, that kind of hurts you. For some of these, like the top, at least the top players, maybe didn't have the greatest playoff runs, but they're still the top players because they like I'm going off based off reputation and like going to next season they're obviously still going to be just as good and the decline is not going to be that much. So, yeah. But we're going to start with honorable mentions because I feel like last time I forgot to start with honorable mentions and it kind of messed up the fluidity of the list, like of how I was going in order and whatnot. So, honorable mention number one would be Trey Murphy the third. He averaged 20 points last year. And initially, I did have him in the top 10, but then I realized the like number 9 and number 10, I completely forgot about, and they deserve to be in the top 10. So, yeah, Trey Murphy the third is a honorable mention. And it's kind of crazy because the Pelicans are not shopping for him, but at the same time, they wouldn't mind uh, getting back like 3 first round picks for him, which I think is a lot for Trey Murphy the third. He's really good, and every year, if you look at his basketball reference, every year he's gotten better. So I wouldn't be surprised if next year he took another leap and averaged like maybe 24, 25 points per game, especially on a Pelicans team that I have no idea what the hell is going on with them. Like so many of their players are untouchable, but they're also asking for so much for their players. Like apparently Herb Jones is untouchable, but like I've also seen reports where they wouldn't mind giving up or taking on like 2, 3 first round picks, which it depends on the team because for Trey Murphy the third, like if you're the Pistons, would you give up like Ron Holland and picks? Yeah, of course you would. Especially for their team and the fact that they did literally nothing and they actually regressed and they give Kevin Herter $9 million a year, which doesn't make sense. But yeah, Trey Murphy III would be a great fit on the Pistons. And honestly, he'd be a good piece on any contending team because he is a dynamic scorer, but like he doesn't demand the ball at the same time. Like he's like Tyler Hero in a sense where it's like, yeah, Tyler Hero can dribble and he does have the ball in his hands a lot, but he can also play off the ball a ton. And a team like the Pistons, where Cade is going to be on the ball so much, but you also need a creator next to him that can handle the ball and can shoot at a reliable clip. That would be nice, especially since you lost Tobias Harris, which I just don't know how they lost Tobias Harris and Jalen Duren is still not on the team currently. But yeah, Trey Murphy III is an honorable mention. Another honorable mention would be Dyson Daniels. Now, he's on an honorable mention mainly because of his defense, because his defense is just elite at his position, and his offense is okay, but it's not great. And the fact that he shot like 12% from three is kind of crazy. Like that means he takes 8 3 pointers and only makes one, which he doesn't even attempt 8 a game. So like, let's say a 3 game stretch he attempts 8 threes and he only makes one. Making 1 3 every 3 games is kind of crazy. Not gonna lie, that's like really bad. But he makes up for it with his defense, especially in the Hawks team where they have a lot of other offensive weapons, and you're just asking Dyson Daniels to be serviceable on offense, and he's not like these other like defensive guys where it's like they can't be played in the playoffs because at some point you're gonna need somebody to score other than like your star player. And if you have an offensive liability on the court, it's just gonna make things really like bad because the pace is slowed down in playoff games, and so offense can be scarce like to come by. And so Dyson Daniels surprisingly isn't one of those guys. Like in the series against the Knicks, he wasn't really like unplayable. He did play a lot of like minutes, and it's mainly because everyone else on their team could literally shoot, um, and were making shots at one point in the series until they fell like down by 50 in Game 6, which was crazy. But yeah, he's a guy who plays the passing lane, so he's a steals leader every single year. He he's kind of like Derek White. Like, yeah, he's a smaller guard, but like he plays big. He gets blocks. He's a good one-on-one defender. He was actually really, really good on Jalen Brunson for the first like 3 games when he was matched up on him. And then after that, Brunson cooked his ass. Which no shade to Dyson Daniels, Brunson was cooking everybody after that series. Um, but yeah, Dyson Daniels honorable mention. Another honorable mention is Dylan Brooks, who had a really, really good season last year. And actually, the last 2 years, ever since he left Memphis, he's had really good seasons. With the Rockets, he had a really good season. He averaged like 19 points per game. And then with the Suns last year, he averaged like 21 on somewhat decent efficiency. And it's crazy because we know what he's going to bring on the defensive end, that tenacity. Um, he is one of those guys that is like a defensive culture setter. And so a team like the Suns, where Devin Booker and Jalen Green are going to get you buckets, and you know they're going to not really stop anybody, especially Jalen Green. Devin Booker, I give credit. Ever since the Olympics, he has bought into the role of doing whatever the team needs and actually being like a solid defender. But Dylan Brooks is one of those guys where if you bring him on your team, he's gonna, you know, automatically set the identity with defense. And to complement that with the offensive jump he's brought the last 2 seasons, he definitely deserves to be an honorable mention. And he could crack the top 10 depending on, like, a lot of these guys on this list are old. No, there's no secret here. LeBron is on this list, but like in the next like 2 years, LeBron won't be in the top 10 because he won't be playing. And I really hope this is his last year because LeBron, I swear to God, like this whole drama of him picking a team and whatnot, it's kind of getting out of hand. And as a basketball fan, you just want to see him on a team, get his retirement tour, retire happily into the sunset, and just be gone. Like the fact that he's just dragging this out so much more than it needs to be is kind of crazy. Um, but yeah, Dylan Brooks honorable mention. Now, those are the three honorable mentions. I probably forgot like probably two or three more guys who at least deserve to be mentioned in this list. Maybe not top 10, but probably had good seasons that I just probably forgot. So if you have anybody that you would like mentioned on this small forward list specifically, please let me know. Number 10, Asar. Wow, let me start over. Number 10 is where I have Asar Thompson. Um, and last year he averaged 10 points per game, which doesn't seem like a lot for a top 10 guy, but like Dyson Daniels, like Dylan Brooks, his defense is elite and he is at the top of like the tier of defense for those guys. So like Dyson Daniels would be like like A tier, S tier would be Asar Thompson, and if you're a S tier defender, it really doesn't matter what offense you bring. Like as long as you're not shit offensively, then you're gonna be like top 10 on any list. And Asar Thompson is not shit offensively, but he ain't great either. But as a slasher, a lob threat, a guy who can make a mid range shot or two, and his 3 point shot is still not there. He shot 25% from three last year, but he has increased it. So like his rookie year, he shot like what like 15% from three. Then the next year he shot 20%, and last year he shot 25%. So if he can get to low key, if a Stars Thompson shoots like 34 to 35% from three, he might low key be like an all NBA player at that point. Cause like if he takes three threes and he makes one, like that's kind of for his defensive production, that is like elite because then you start adding like threes to his point per game total. And so now he goes from 10 points per game to like maybe a 15 points per game, and anything north of 15, especially with his defense, that is like that is like an all NBA player right there for sure. But yeah, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and the craziest part, like I said, is defense. He averaged 3 stocks per game last year, which I was looking this up and like I was looking up is 3 stocks good because I know 3 stocks is good, but I wanted to see like compared to these guys who get more than 3 stocks is good. And three stocks is like elite defender. More than three and a half is like you're basically all over the court all at once. And in the playoffs, he was really good defensively. It's just so happened that Cade needed another guy next to him offensively, which was Tobias Harris. But then after like game six, Tobias Harris just disappeared. Everyone disappeared in game seven, unfortunately. And the Pistons were uh an exit. And I firmly think that the Pistons probably would have been the best challenge for the Knicks the entire playoffs, including the Spurs, just because their defense was so good that they could really muck up the game for the Knicks. And with they had first of all they had a home court advantage, so I think that series at minimum would have gone 6 games, and it would have been a way more competitive series, like 6 game series than the Hawks series was. And considering the Spurs didn't even push the Knicks to 6 games, you can say that the Pistons arguably could have been the most competitive series against the Knicks. Now, you can also argue the other way where it's like since the Knicks just dominated every single team and even the Cavs were technically peaking because they beat the Pistons, that the Knicks could have just ran through the Pistons in 4 or 5 games, which honestly is more true than not true. But I just think that Cade is such a good player that you can't really rule out any series if you given the opportunity for him. Like theoretically, let's say they do beat the Cavs, that is just another opportunity for Cade to show off and show the Knicks that, hey, we know what happened last year and we want revenge, and we may not win the series, but we want y'all to really feel us and really you know make sure you guys come out of this series with no clean wounds, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's why Sar is number 10. Number 9 is Denny Avdia. Really, really good season last year. I'm pretty sure he was All NBA third team last year, and so if you're All NBA, you're automatically top 15 in the league at that point. And yeah, he deserves to be number 9. The only really flaw of his game is the defense and the 3-point shooting. Like if he had those two things, he could easily be like maybe 7 or 8 on this list instead of 9, because he does everything else. He rebounds at a really good rate for a small forward. He assists. He's like kind of like Jokic in that sense, where he does everything on the court that you need him to, especially in on a team that made the playoffs and needed every single bit of his creation offensively, whether he got guys involved or attacked the rim at a really like successful rate. Like they call him downhill Denny because every time he went downhill, it ended up in a foul or a bucket. And he did average 24 points per game, which is a really good amount um for his game. And a lot of those were free throws, of course, but like actually I'm curious to see what the stat is like for guys, like if you remove free throws made or attempted per game, what his points per game like would be after that. Um but yeah, he shot 32% from 3, which kind of sucks, especially since in Washington he was a solid 3-point shooter. I think he had 1 year in Washington where he shot closer to like 37% from 3. So hopefully the 3-point shot comes around again this year, and hopefully he's working out with Dame. Dame is back on the team, as you all know. He's back on the Blazers, and so Dame could be a shooting coach for a lot of these guys on the team. Um, and yeah, I was hoping his free throw percentage would be a little bit higher than just 80%, considering like I just mentioned that he gets to the free throw line at a crazy rate. Um, but hey, I mean, if he's getting to the free throw line at a crazy rate and still shooting north of 75%, which is around like league average, then hey, that's still really good. Um, and yeah, 46%. That's got to be like the three, right? Because like 46% from the field seems a little low for a guy who basically only attacks the rim, doesn't shoot that many threes. His mid range game is like cool, but it's not like his game, you know. Um, and yeah, I think the points per game will probably get lower. Uh, it will definitely be lower this year. Because Ja is on the team and Dame is coming back, so naturally he's not gonna average 24 points per game. Now, if Denny averages 24 points per game on this team with Ja, Dame, Holiday, Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson, Dominic Clingan, like they have so many guys who can average north of 15 points per game that it's like if Denny still averages 24 points a game, he deserves so much more credit than I'm giving him. Uh, and the Blazers do have a lot of question marks, like what season will Ja have? How will Dame fare after coming off the Achilles tear? Um, Klingon was really bad in the playoffs, so how does he bounce back? Uh, who's going to be in the starting lineup? Like Kamara, is he going to be in the starting lineup? Is Holiday going to be in the starting lineup? What happens to Shaden Sharp? Is he going to get traded? Like, there's just a lot of question marks with this team, and you know, Denny might be the most like the guy you have least question marks about. So definitely deserves to be number 9. Number 8 is Franz Wagner. Um, he only played 34 games last year, which sucks. Because the year before that, I think he played like a little over north of 60 games, and he was actually really good that year. Like the year prior, he averaged 24. Last year, when he was healthy on the court, he averaged 21 points per game, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 48% field goal percentage, which again, he likes to attack the rim just like Danny. Doesn't shoot that many threes, and he's not a good 3-point shooter. Although this year, 35% for Franz is actually decent considering he had years where he was in the high 20s. So, like, mid 30s is really good for him, especially on a team that, needs spacing, as much spacing as they can get. Because, my God, in the playoffs, their offense was, like, so shit. Like, they literally went, like, band for band with the Pistons as far as who had a worse offense. And the Pistons ended up winning that series because they had Cade, and Tobias Harris actually stepped up. And unfortunately, Franz got hurt after game 4 of that series, and he was the primary defender on Cade, and he was doing a really good job, which is why he's number 8 because his defense is also just really good. He's a bigger body, and he is like the primary defender for like any um any good team that they play against. So like I just mentioned Cade, he got the Cade assignment, and for those first 4 games, Cade was like around average Cade. He wasn't like superstar Cade. Um, and then game 5 through 7, you saw superstar Cade. Except for that one game. Was that game? Oh yeah, that was game 5 when him and Paulo went band for band, 45 points, and the Magic just needed literally anybody else to score, and they probably would have won the series in 5 games. And there's no excuses for the Magic. I'm not giving them the excuse that Franz got hurt because in game 6, they had a 24-point lead in the third quarter and blew that game. And so they don't deserve any excuses for the injuries. Um, they were an 8th seed, so they did put themselves in that position to not have home court. And yeah, no excuses for them. But Franz was, in the games that he did play, he was pretty good. And I project him to be better because he's going to play more games next year, hopefully. If he plays 34 games or less next season, that means something's wrong. Like, the Magic might have to trade him. But I anticipate him playing more than 50 games next year. So, we're going to have a larger sample size of Franz, and I think the Magic are going to be better. They did get a new coach, and they didn't make any moves this offseason, which kind of sucks, especially for a team that is an 8th seed last year, and so many teams in the East got better around you, and you didn't do anything. Kind of disappointing. And they were on the list for teams that had the most disappointing off seasons so far, which I had last episode. And it kind of makes me think that maybe they're just gonna run it back and hopefully have a healthy year, new coach, new voice in the locker room, better Paolo, and maybe they could make like a conference finals run this year. Definitely not out of the realm of possibility with the talent they have on the roster. And they still may be open to trading Jalen Suggs. Like if they got Jamal Murray back next year without getting rid of Franz or Paolo, that would be like a move that I would like really be excited for because they really just need a point guard, like a true point guard. Like Jalen Suggs is not a true point guard. Um, and yeah, that would really help Franz too because Franz is one of those like he cuts, gets most of his offense around the rim, whether it's slashing, driving, cutting, pick and rolls, and whatnot. And so having a point guard to set him up easier, he would easily be from like 21 points a game to like 24, 25 like he was the year prior. And yeah, he's number 8. Oh god, that smoke is really getting to me, huh? I can feel it in my nostrils. Maybe this wasn't a good idea. Um, but we're gonna keep moving on. Number 7 was Brandon Miller. Uh, I project Franz to be better than Brandon Miller next year, but this year Brandon Miller was better. He played more games, and the Hornets' second half of the season was way better than pretty much the entire Magic season, even though they ended up still being below the Magic because they lost to the Magic in the play-in, actually. But I think overall, the overall play of Brandon Miller is exactly what we wanted for him because all we wanted was a healthy season from him, and that's exactly what he got. And this is exactly what version of Brandon Miller we want. And he could even be better, which is the crazy part, especially with no LaMelo. So like the offense is gonna be run more through him and Khan next year, which if you're the Hornets organization front office, that's not really a bad thing because you want to still develop Brandon Miller and Con Knibble because they're so young and they're not at the point where it's like you need to like rush this window of them being good. Like I'd say give it maybe another year or two and then you start to like have these questions about whether you can win a championship with those two, whether you can make the playoffs with those two, and yeah, whether or not it's worth hanging on to those guys and paying those guys and whatnot. But he averaged 20 points per game last year, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. The field goal percentage was a little like yikes, 44% from the field, which he's a small forward slash guard, so like he does take a lot of shots. In fact, he had games a lot where he even took like 15 like threes, which that whole team basically took a lot of threes last year. But he had moments where he took so many threes and he did not shoot efficiently from the field, but he still ended up shooting 38% from 3, which is really good for the volume of threes that he took last year, and 89% from the free throw line, which again, really good. So if he made like maybe 2 or 3 more of his 2-point shots, he could be flirting with a 50-40-90 season next year. And that 50-40-90 is so hard to achieve, uh, especially in this league because the defenses are getting a lot better, a lot smarter. And so a guy like Kyrie is going to see a lot more elite defenses than what he saw when in his quote unquote prime when Kyrie was like cooking. And so Brandon Miller is definitely going to be tasked with a lot more offensively next year, which could either be good for him or bad for him. It could be boost him up this list or bring him down this list. And I'm excited to see what he has to bring on the Hornets, who could potentially make it out of the play-in next year, not guaranteed, just because like I said, a lot of teams in the East got better, like Miami. Indiana got Halliburton back. Um, the Celtics may not have gotten better, but they're still going to be good. The Knicks are still going to be good. So there's still a lot more competition out East than people realize. And the whole East is weak thing, honestly, I think the East might be more of a gauntlet this year than the West. Because I feel like the West is more top heavy. The West has like maybe two or three teams that you look at that can maybe win a championship, whereas the East has like at least four, five teams that could be in the finals. And if you're in the finals, you have a chance to win it. We saw this with the Pacers. We saw this with the Knicks last year. Like, if you make the finals and you have a really good run, then that shouldn't discredit you from, having the potential to win it all. And yeah, number 7 is LeBron James. LeBron James. Wait, did I do numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No, number 6. Sorry. Anyway, number 6 is LeBron James. Despite being 41 years old, he still had a really good season. And the playoffs really kind of boosted him for me uh, up this list. Now, he probably still would have been around like 6 or 7, no pun intended. But he had such a good series against the Rockets, carrying the team basically without Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic and beating the Rockets, which the Rockets also didn't have KD, but they the Rockets still should have won that series regardless, and the way that they lost was just really upsetting. And at 41 years old, about to be 42 in December, LeBron still averaged 21 points per game, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. So he does still do everything on the court. If you want him to play center, he can play center. If you want him to play point guard, he can play point guard. If you want him to play forward, he can play forward. If you want him to spot up for three, he'll take a lot more threes than what he took when he was even like 34, 35. And yeah, he's still going to be really efficient from the field, at least from two. Um, he doesn't really get to the rim and, dunk because he's 41, obviously. But if you told anybody that a 42-year-old player in the NBA averaged, you know, 20 points per game, you'd be like, is he taking steroids? Like, what is he on? And so LeBron continues to beat Father Time in that regard. Um, and I just don't know what season he's going to have next year because he's not on a team yet. And depending on what team he's on, his role may be a little different. Like for the 76ers, he's not tasked to score 20 points per game every night. He may not even need to play 65 games for them to be okay with signing him. But a team like the Warriors, you might need LeBron to still tap into, some Bron things. And because Curry's old, Jimmy Butler's coming off an ACL injury. Draymond Green is old. Al Horford is old. Porzingis is always hurt. And so, what are you gonna count on Brandon Pajemski? Like really? Like he is the most like frustrating player to watch sometimes. He kind of reminds me of those times when Jordan Poole would like if you watch the Warriors would just piss you off, like both on the court and off the court. Um, but like Brandon Pajemski off the court pisses me way off, pisses me off way more than Jordan Poole ever did off the court. So yeah, just to rely on Brandon Pajemski to save the Warriors is really just asinine. And even relying on LeBron to save the Warriors is borderline asinine, considering he's about to be 42. Like, he shouldn't be really saving any team. Like, I talked about this on just Instagram and whatnot, and I made a reel about, LeBron deciding what team he's going to be on. And I mentioned that in his mind, he wants to be the savior for whatever team he joins. And if any team is relying on him to be a savior, you're kind of cooked. Like if the Sixers are relying on LeBron James to be the savior when they have Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, VJ Edgecombe, and let's say half a season of Joel Embiid, and you're still relying on 42-year-old Braun, then the problems lie deeper than just the talent on the roster. Um, like the team like the Heat, like first of all, I just don't ever see him being on the Heat. Not after the way his career ended with Miami and like that in general. Like I see the Cavs as the most realistic option, and they're not asking LeBron to save them. Like sure, he'll give them a boost. Like I said this earlier, but like if they had LeBron on that Cavs team in the conference finals against the Knicks this past season, then they probably would have lost in 6 games and not have gotten swept. Just because LeBron's IQ is enough to win you maybe 1 or 2 games. Um, and they really just needed someone else other than Donovan Mitchell, because James Harden was a no show. Evan Mobley was, for the most part, a no show. Jared Allen was a no show, and so it really was just Donovan Mitchell and Sam Merrill for that one game. Actually, yeah, game one, Sam Merrill. But like, yeah, if you added LeBron, that would be nice, and I wouldn't have to see the ball in James Harden's hands at all, mostly. Uh, which sucked last year because in those games in the playoffs where the ball was not in John Mitchell's hands, I, as someone who watched the Cavs, it was like, what the fuck is this possession gonna end in? Like, what shot is gonna be taken? Like, it's probably gonna be a bad shot because James Harden is at the point in his career where he's not breaking down defenders crazily like he did in Houston. Um, and if he's not doing that, then he's probably gonna step back and take a nasty three, or he's gonna turn the ball over. Which in playoff games, Harden turns the ball over way more than he assists guys, and especially in that Knicks series, he had games where he had more turnovers than field goals made. So if you're asking James Harden to save you next year, if you're the Cavs, you might as well just pack your bags now and head to Cancun. But yeah, LeBron James, not really much to mention more than he better pick a fucking team. Please do it fast so we can move on. And yeah, next year might be a year where he's not top 10. Like, that's crazy to say, but, and it's not that he's going to, fall off a cliff. He's not going to average like 12 points per game or anything like that. But they're just guys who are genuinely just going to be better. Like, LeBron didn't even make All NBA this year. Like, they're just guys who have genuinely just have better seasons than LeBron James, and that's okay. He is 42, or about to be 42, so it makes sense. It's not like it's out of the, realm of possibility. Number 5 is my favorite guy on this list. You already know. Oh, G. Anunoby is at number 5. He just won an ESPY for Best Play of the Year, which was his tip in, which I kid you not, I watched game 4 of that finals literally like once every day. I wish I was joking. Like you could probably check my YouTube history if you're a hacker. I watched game 4 of the finals way often, way more often than I probably should, which honestly, no, because it was such a great game that I could watch it every hour. No, that's too crazy. But like that game was just so crazy and that play was just so insane that he deserves to be in top 5. Um and a lot of these guys are going to be really good defensively, and OG is probably the most versatile defender on this list. He can guard 1 through 5 really well. If you need him to score 20 points a game, he can. If you need him to grab rebounds and give more possessions for the Knicks, he can do that. You can win with him. You can win without him. You may not look as good without him because when he is on the court, the Knicks are probably like the best team in the league, like numbers wise, when he's on the court. And you just don't take stats like those for granted. Um, And every year his offensive leap just keeps getting like more and more exciting. And so he had years in Toronto where his offense wasn't really that good, but his defense was like elite. And it's kind of sad that we never got to see him next to Kawhi Leonard when they played with the Raptors in the finals, because that would have given the Warriors way more hell. And yeah, really good playoff run. He averaged 20 points per game the entire playoff run. He was like so good against the Hawks. Um, and he just abuses matchup nightmares. Like if you put a smaller defender on him, he is gonna go to the rim. If you leave him wide open, he's gonna knock down threes at an insane rate. Um, like literally whatever is needed to win, he will do that. And you're getting that with almost 20 points a game, which deserves to be top five on any list, any player. Um, and yeah, he shot almost, well, not really. He didn't shoot 50, 40, 90, but like damn close to it. He shot 48% from the field, 39% from three, and 83% from the free throw line. And he hit the biggest free throw of his life to seal the Knicks championship. So I'll never have any issues with him at the free throw line. Um, and yeah, he was just so good throughout the entire playoffs, really the entire year. Like we wanted to see an offensive leap from OG because I felt like that was the missing piece from the Knicks as far as like trying to win a championship and moving on to the next round beyond the conference finals and having a legit shot to win the championship. And so they got exactly what we needed from OG, which was the 18 points per game during regular season, and then he jumped up to 20 and was a reliable 20. Like in the games he even had like 15 points. Those 15 points were much needed. He hits timely threes too. Like he doesn't hit like those threes to cut the lead down to like 50 or like 40, which he did have that one three against the Spurs, but like everyone had that three that cut the lead to like 22 instead of being down 29. But like he hits timely threes, which is the insane part about it. And we are at 40 minutes into this episode, and I kind of want to get to other things, so we're gonna kind of speed through this list because I don't really need to talk too much about these top five because you probably know who they are at this point. We're top four. Top number four is Cooper Flag. Had a really good rookie year, like probably one of the best rookie years you'll see in a long time. His defense is what you know catches your eye for him, and the fact that he averaged 21 points per game as a rookie, 7 assists or 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and it's kind of crazy because at one point he was playing the point guard. Will this ant get the fuck off of my shoe? Like holy fucking hell, Cooper Flag. Yeah, what was I talking about? He averaged 21 points a game as a rookie. Yeah, he was playing point guard for like the first half of the season ish when Jason Kidd really just went to emphasize getting the ball in Cooper's Flag's hands and really being comfortable in that position. And he was really good at it. Um, and hopefully the 3 point shot comes around. I think it will. And Duke, he shot pretty decent from three. He wasn't like the best 3 point shooter, but he wasn't this bad from three either. He shot 30% from three this past year, 2.1 stocks. So he's going to block your shot. He's going to get steals. And so he's already like projected to be like a top five like player in the league potentially. And so there's no reason he shouldn't be at least number four in this list. And from 21 points a game on this Mavs team for and Kyrie having, you know, him as a running mate next year, there's no it's not out of the realm of possibility for Cooper Flag to average 25 points per game in this league. Like definitely not, especially if he adds like maybe one or two more threes into his like, daily averages. There you go. That's like 25, 26 points a game right off the bat right there. Number three, Kawhi Leonard had an MVP type season, which is really cool because the narrative around Kawhi was he was always hurt. In the past 2 years, he has been healthy and he's had really good seasons. And last year, he really stepped up to the plate. And the second half of the season was he was on a tear. He averaged 28 points a game, which in a season Kawhi hasn't averaged 28 points a game. So this is like a career high for him. He's always around like 24, 25 points a game, 26. He's never averaged north of like 27, 28 points a game. And so for him to do that was pretty cool. Um, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, literally 2 percentage points away from the 3 point line and the free throw line from being 50, 40, 90. 51% from the field, 39% from three, and 89% from the free throw line. So he's just book it for him being a 50, 40, 90 guy. And while his defense is not San Antonio Spurs defense, he's still super solid on defense. And the duo of him and Scotty is going to be nasty defensively. In fact, that whole team, when they can go Jamal Shed, they can go RJ Barrett, Kawhi, Scotty, CMB, that defense is just absolutely nasty from all positions. And it's not confirmed whether Kawhi is on the Raptors yet because of the investigation that, in my opinion, is taking way too long because at this point, they're just trying to flatten a smoking gun. Like, they don't have really anything to, like, go on. So they're really just trying to find that one piece of evidence that's like, yeah, that's enough for maybe not the trade to be rescinded, but for this investigation to be over, and maybe the Raptors have to sacrifice a couple picks or whatnot. And yeah, we're kind of all just waiting for this to be over. And it kind of sucks for guys like Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram who are just waiting to find apartments in LA, which technically they could, but like they can't report to training camp. Cause like the odds of this trade being rescinded are like next to none. So like, yeah, Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick could find apartments and be okay, but per like league rules and whatnot, they cannot report to training camp or any team workouts or anything like that. So they'd just be stuck in LA, chilling, basically having the summer. And yeah, number two, you know who he is. You know who he is. KD, Kevin Durant, still top two small forward in the league. 26 points per game, 52% from the field, 41% from three, 87% from the free throw line. He's another guy where you can just book it for 50, 40, 90, and he's just that good of a scorer at age 37 too, which is kind of crazy. Coming off an Achilles tear too. Was that Achilles or ACL? I can't remember. But basically a major surgery, and coming off that surgery in Brooklyn, he had the best like 2 or 3 like seasons like numbers wise of his entire career. And yeah, he's just there's no fall off from Kevin Durant. Like I don't really need to say much about Kevin Durant. Like you either know who he is or you don't. And at this point, if you don't know who KD is, you just don't watch basketball. Number one, Jaylen Brown, top five in MVP last year. Just that good offensively on a team that was number two seed in the East. And it kind of sucks that he was traded because he probably would have had another season similar to this, with the Celtics again, with Jason Tatum coming back and him trying to prove himself. Um, and yeah, 29 points a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And yeah, he's just been that good. And I think his numbers are going to decline. Maybe not significantly, but it'd be normal to see him around like 23, 24 points a game on this team when you have Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid taking up a lot of the points. And if he does somehow average close to 29 points a game on this Sixers team and they're not the number one seed, then that means Joel Embiid hasn't played a single game all season and Tyrese Maxey is deferring to Jaylen Brown, and maybe Tyrese Maxey is the one averaging 22, 23 points a game. But for the Sixers' sake, I hope that Jaylen Brown is closer to like 24, 25 instead of 29, because the ball does not need to be in Jaylen Brown's hands more than it needs to be in Tyrese Maxey or Joel Embiid's hands, especially since you want to go far with this team. And I think their lack of creativity, offensive creativity and spacing, they're gonna need all the like advantages offensively that they're gonna that they need to like go far with this team. And the UPS driver just that's weird. The UPS driver just drove past me and gave me a kind of a nod. So either he approves of the podcast setup or he's like, what is this fool doing on his bench in his front yard? Is he making content? What is he doing? Um yeah, so that's the list. I'm gonna go through the list one more time. Number 10, I had Asar Thompson. Number 9, I had Denny Avdia. Number 8, I had Franz Wagner. Number 7, I had Brendan Miller. Number 6, I had LeBron James. Number 5, I had OG Anunoby. Number 4, I had Cooper Flag. Number 3, I had Kawhi Leonard. Number 2, I had Kevin Durant. And number 1, I had Jaylen Brown. That is my list. If you guys want to comment on this list, whether I post reels or clips about it, or if you want to comment on the Spotify podcast itself on Spotify, if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, whatever platform you are consuming this content on, and you want to leave a comment on this list, whether it's good, bad, what your list would be, please do. I would love to see it. Okay, I need to sit back, relax my throat a little bit, pause, because I feel like I've been leaning forward, and maybe I just need to sit back, um, and just take in the fresh. No, it's definitely not fresh air. Take a breather. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay. Now, I did want to talk about the Liberty briefly because the Liberty are 13 and 11, which is really bad for the talent that they have in the roster, and they are seventh in the league as far as standings wise. And it's crazy because I think that they're like talent wise, if we're just speaking purely off talent, they should be the third best team in the league behind the Lynx and the Aces. And they haven't been able to put the talent together, which I don't know because they won a championship with five of their players. Their starting five from the championship roster is still on this team, and Laney Hamilton's the only one who's not starting. And yeah, Sabrina has been hurt at the beginning of the season, and she's really finding her rhythm now after the last two games. Scoring 25 points and 28 points back-to-back games against the Lynx and the Tempo on the road, and really sparking those comebacks because Liberty were down double digits again in those games. Um, they found themselves in down double digits in pretty much like every other game. It feels like they're down at least 10 points. And yeah, like I said, the talent on this roster should be able to overcome any like sort of like deficiencies that maybe like the other players have. And so like Paulie Nastier as a rookie has been outplaying so many like girls on this roster. And I don't know, I can't really point my finger to what the exact problem is because I feel like it's kind of scary for me to like assume this, and I hope it's not true, but like the locker room, there's something has to be off with the locker room, right? Because like Breonna Stewart has pretty much played every game. Jonquel Jones has pretty much played every game. Sabrina has played the last like 5 or 6 games. Phoebich is hurt now, but she's been playing consistently. And so that those four players alone should be better than a lot of these teams that the Liberty are struggling against. Like the Wings are a really good team, don't get me wrong. But like the talent that Liberty have, they should be not even in the same conversation as the Wings. The Valkyries, expansion team. Their best player is not even close to what Brianna Stewart or Jonquil Jones or Sabrina can bring to the table. And yet they have a way better record than the Liberty. It just doesn't really make sense. And yes, you can point fingers to the coach. I don't really like Chris DeMarco personally. I just think he's too laid back. I don't think the players really respect him and listen to him in the locker rooms. And you can tell because his out of timeout plays are just atrocious. Whenever he calls timeout, his plays are really bad. Um, and yeah, it just doesn't really make sense because he won championships with the Warriors. So we should be able to bring championship like qualities and habits to a team that has already won a championship, and so that should just gel easily. But maybe he's bringing the wrong habits. Defensively, the Liberty are really still good. Like their defense isn't really the main issue. Their offense kind of just sucks. Like they'll still score a lot of points because, like I said, the talent on the roster. But when you actually watch the games and they have low scoring first quarters, they it seems like they don't know what they're doing offensively. Like their offensive sets don't seem crisp. They sometimes they give the ball to Brianna Stewart and it's like she has to like cook for a bucket, which she can do, but like you have way more options than to just give Brianna Stewart the ball and let her ISO. Sabrina is inconsistent. Consistent the last two games, but for the most part this season inconsistent. And Jonquil Jones doesn't look like the Jonquil Jones from when they won a championship. She still looks like the Jonquil Jones from last year when her ankle, um, she had surgery on the ankle, and so maybe she's still, I don't know, recovering from that, which she should be okay from that because that was like, even the surgery was in the off season, that was like months ago, and she was ready for the start of training camp, so that means she was already ready to go then. So that shouldn't really be the issue. And like it's just confusing. I don't know what to think about this team. And hopefully the All-Star break is good for them. Get themselves on track. Sabali comes back from her concussion. Phoebus comes back from her foot injury. This team is whole. They go on a 6, 7 game stretch of wins, and they're right back as like the number 4 seed. Because like last year we saw Liberty as a 5 seed and didn't have a home court, and they just didn't fare well against Phoenix, which was a bad matchup for them. But if they had home court, bad matchup and whatnot, they probably would have won that series. And it was still close, even with them not having home court. But I just want to see the Liberty have home court because when they were in the finals those years, they had home court throughout. And it's just going to be a tough road for them to go on like the road and beat the Lynx for a championship or to go on the road and beat the Aces for a championship. That's just going to be really tough. They can do it. Maybe not at this moment. It doesn't look like they can, but at some point in the season we'll be saying that. And yeah, hopefully they can get their act together. Um and so yeah, I did have fan questions. And I have to get to them, but you guys did ask really good questions. Um yeah, you guys asked really good questions last time. You guys asked what my favorite movie was, what my who my favorite player in the NBA and WNBA were. Um and also the reason why, so there's a lot, actually a lot I need to get to catch you guys up. So I am uploading now on Mondays and Fridays. The 3 episode a week schedule just didn't seem very sustainable for this podcast, especially since I talk so much about getting burnt out and I don't want to do that. So I feel like 2 episodes per week max is good. I didn't want to do one per week because I felt like I needed to, get myself out there. And the more content episodes I produce, the more my name will get out there, and hopefully this podcast will get some traction. Uh, and yeah, so Mondays, Fridays will be episodes. And I did not upload an episode this past week, or I did upload one on Saturday, but I don't think I uploaded Monday or Wednesday, which was the original schedule. And so when you're watching this episode or listening to it, it'll be Friday, which will basically be a whole week from the last episode. And that's because last weekend I went to Cape Cod and I had a lot of fun. And why that relates to this is because at one point we did a game of like would you rather, and a lot of questions we had were, really good debates, and it sparked some good conversation. And so, like, if you guys had would you rather instead of just questions, like if you had would you rather do this or that, and I could get into like a deep conversation about it, I would love that. I love the deep conversations we had, and I kind of want to bring that into this podcast. Because I don't want to talk just basketball, Like, talking just basketball is cool, and I love to do it. Don't get me wrong. This like the main reason of what this podcast is built on. It's built on basketball, whether it's both the NBA or WNBA or even college basketball when I get to it, and I have some really cool content ideas for when my college team basketball season starts. But I wanted to expand more than just that, which is why I'm outside. I'm a product of my environment, like I said earlier. So I want to be in new spaces making content, and I just want to get creative with it. And so, fan questions is a way for you guys to get involved. And yeah, so please keep the questions coming. I would appreciate it a lot. The more questions you guys give, the more backlog I have of questions I can ask. So maybe there is a week where I'm super busy and I don't have time to ask fan questions, but since I have so many in the queue, I can get to them. What are we looking on timing? Okay, so my laptop is at 15%, and I kind of want to speed through these questions. So, um, all right, so I had some technical difficulties, but I'm going to get into your fan questions now. Someone asked, what is my proudest achievement? And my proudest achievement definitely has to be getting Eagle Scout, which is the highest rank in scouting. And it's something that you can put on your resumes, and people will, well, people who are actually, don't live under a rock know what an Eagle Scout is, how much hard work you put into being an Eagle Scout. It's years of scouting, um, years of putting in the work to get badges and to just be the best Boy Scout you can be, learning all the skills and whatnot. And at the end, you have to do like a board review, which is basically an interview in front of the board of like Eagle Scouts, and they determine whether you are fit to be an Eagle Scout. And this is based on questions they ask about your experiences and who you are as a person, and basically whether you deserve to be an Eagle Scout, because you can do all the badges, you can do the project, you can do everything, but if you aren't a good person, or if you don't have the qualities that they're looking for in the board review, then you could get denied Eagle, and you can try again. But like, I passed first time, and my Eagle Scout experience was definitely unique because I got Eagle Scout with a girl who was in our troop. And so us getting Eagle Scout at the same time was definitely just a crazy time. not only for our troop but for scouts in general, because she was the first girl Eagle Scout in our district, and she could have easily been a Girl Scout and gotten the Golden Award, which is equivalent to Eagle Scout. But she went the Boy Scout route. She did all of these things that our troop did. She even worked at one of the Scout summer camps, and that's how we actually recruited her to our troop. And she was amazing. Um, and yeah, I don't regret any experience I had en route to getting Eagle Scout at all. It was a great experience. Proud to put it on my resume. And it's also one of those like it's heavy on leadership. And so anybody who sees Eagle Scout on your resume, they're gonna know automatically you're at least a decent leader. Um, and yeah, it's definitely one of my proudest achievements. That was a good question. I really like that. Someone asked, describe the worst haircut I've had. And the bugs are going crazy right now. Okay, they stopped. Describe the worst haircut I've had. I shaved my head when I was abroad because I kind of been wanting to do that for years, and any sort of opportunity or freedom, I chose to do that while I was abroad alone, no family, new friends, but like no one I've met before, and so I decided to cut it off. And going bald at first of all, going bald when it's not expected or you don't know what it's gonna look like is just a bad idea in general. But when you're a person like me who's had braids in their hair for years, and they start to create like ridges in your head. And so when I went bald, it wasn't a typical bald head. I literally looked like an alien with all the ridges. And with the ridges, you can't get 100% of the hair, so I ended up getting being able to get like 95% of the hair on my head, but that extra 5% was horrible. It looked horrible. I went out in public like this for at least like a week or two because my hair grows back super fast. Whenever I even get haircuts, I literally have to book an appointment like as soon as I get the haircut to get another haircut because my hair just grows back super fast. And I'm hoping to get this beard chopped off, but like at the same time, as soon as I chop it off, it's gonna grow back in like a week. But yeah, that was definitely the worst haircut I've had. I've had really cool haircuts actually. I've never had, other than me shaving my head, which was a bad idea to begin with. Other than that, I've had really cool haircuts. In fact, my hair was probably one of the defining like attributes about me and who I am. I've had braids, I've had twists, I've had a mohawk, I've had an afro, I've had a low cut. Even at one point when I did go bald, it did look kind of cool. That was after I did it myself. Actually, my barber actually did it by accident. One time before my fall concert, yeah, fall concert, music concert, and yeah, no, my hair has always been like one of the best things about me and how I view myself. But that one time, it did go to shit. I did go bald. It did look terrible, and that was definitely the worst haircut I've had. Finally, by the way, I'm only gonna get to three of these questions because I do want to get to some trivia, and like I said, I want to speed through these questions, but I have so many more questions to answer, so don't worry if your question was not asked. And if you also want a personal shout out, just please let me know. I'm only going to be answering questions that are sent to me and not shouting out the people, uh, just because for privacy reasons. And if they don't want me to shout them out, then that's up to them. So if you do want your name shouted out, you'd have to do that separately. Just say, ask a question and say, hey, I'd also like to be shouted out on the podcast. But third and last question is, what is my dream job? And so you're kind of looking at it in a sense. Um, I want to be in like the sports media like world, and ideally I'd work for the NBA or as a whole or like any individual team and or WNBA. I wouldn't be like excluding myself from the WNBA. Any basketball, like national basketball league I would be open to working for. And my dream goal would just be talking in the media, creating content, actually being knowledgeable in the game, uh, and just being creative with it. Like, I don't want to limit myself to just sitting at a desk and doing episodes for a podcast that only, five people watch. Um, I want to expand the community. I want to grow a community, and hopefully get paid to like just talk hoops and talk about my life, what I go through, answer your guys' questions, um, do some trivia, and just have fun with it. Like, at the end of the day, a dream job should be a job that you have fun with and that you could wake up every morning and be like, oh yeah, I've got this to do, instead of waking up in the morning like, oh shit, another day in the shitter. Like, working a 9 to 5 uh desk job or like in an office just doesn't really suit me. And to be able to travel for work, to be able to have the flexibility where I can, do different things and be flexible with my money as well, that would be the dream. Um, and yeah, I just want to build a community even outside of just this podcast, like just creating content in general. Like, the podcast is like a starting point, and like for people to just listen to on their uh you know day to work, um on their way to work. Why did I say on their day to work? On their way to work, and to improve, definitely, because I still can't talk. If you guys haven't noticed, I legit cannot talk into a microphone for too long without either stumbling, fumbling, or just saying random shit. But yeah, the dream job would be to work for either NBA or WNBA, get to go to games, get to go to playoff games, cover playoff games. And I've just loved sports so much, pretty much my entire life, especially basketball, that I don't know why it took me this long to figure out that this is where I want my life to go and where my career to go. Um, and I wouldn't say I wasted college, like being in cybersecurity, but at the same time, if I had gone into like sports communication, sports management, or anything like that, then my path to where I want to be would be a little bit more concrete. So right now, this podcast is kind of holding as a bridge so that I can get noticed, or put myself out there. And because there are a lot of people who talk about hoops who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about, or they know what they're talking about, but they also have like no personality. They just like straight up just sit there and talk hoops and then call it a day. And as you can tell, that's not what I want to do. I want to shake things up. I want to be more creative and hopefully make this a reality. And yeah, my kids better be into sports, by the way. If they're not into sports, something's wrong. But yeah, now we're gonna get into some trivia. I have some trivia lined up today. We're still gonna do the 82 and L because I always want to do that. And last time I did it off camera, I got 80 and 2. And where is it? Google Docs. And the bugs are circling me like crazy right now. So if I'm swatting things, that's probably why. They weren't this bad when I was out here before the technical difficulties. So, and it's still just as smoky, just as hot. So I don't know what really changed. Um, Actually, I only had one. Okay, one trivia. But this is a 20-minute trivia though. So here we go. Okay. So it's last 10 NBA All Stars per team. Can you name the last 10 NBA All Stars for each team? So for the Celtics, we're going to start off. Actually, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, that should be a little bit better. Now, I'm used to doing this with two monitors so I can see what you guys are seeing. but unfortunately I cannot. So just bear with me. Celtics, we're gonna go. Actually, we're gonna move. Hopefully, it's not blocking my face too much. All right. Celtics, we're gonna go Tatum, Brown, 2020 Walker, 2019 Hayward. Okay, that wasn't 2019. Who was this? Oh, Irving. 2018. I don't know if Horford. Oh, he did make it with the Celtics that year. Okay. 2017 Isaiah Thomas. 2013 Avery Bradley. No. 2013 Celtics. Was that Kevin Garnett, Pierce? 2012 wasn't Rondo, was it? Yes, it was. 2011 Celtics. No. Okay, I'm probably going to get stumbled on that one. Pacers, we will go Halliburton. Maybe going by team is not the best way to do this, but Siakam, Leonard. I'm just going to throw names out there. Kawhi Leonard, Curry, James, Durant, Edwards, Towns. 2019 Pacers, was that Oladipo? Yes, it was. 21 Sabonis. 2017 Pacers, George. I'm not going to mess up Granger. I messed up him before. 2014, was that Hibbert? No, not Hubbard. Hibbert. Yep. 2007 Pacers, I don't know, but Reggie Miller is a guess. I'm going to throw out there. Knicks, Brunson. 2024, Randall. 2018, Porzingis wasn't an all-star, right? The Knicks, so he was. 2017, Carmelo Anthony, Derrick Rose. 2013, Stoudemire. Nope. Kidd. Booker. Green. Şengün. Who was on the Rockets in 2020? Was that Harden, Westbrook, Abdul Jabbar? No, that's too early. Cavs would be Mitchell. 2025 would be Mobley, Allen. 2025 they had two. Oh, Garland. 2017 Love. 2009 Cavs. Wasn't O'Neal, was it? No. Butler. Adebayo, Hero, Powell. Pistons, Cunningham, Duran, Griffin, Drummond. All right, I'm gonna still have 2009 Hamilton, Wallace, 2008 Pistons. I don't really remember who was on that team, to be honest. Wasn't really watching basketball then. Hawks would be Young, Johnson, Lillard, I know. Antetokounmpo, yes. Middleton, Thunder, Gilgis, Alexander, Williams, Holmgren, 2020 Chris Paul. Forgot he was an all-star with the Thunder. That's crazy. 2017 Hawks. Was that I don't know who that was. Just gonna throw out Johnson. Okay. John White. Nope. Wasn't Derek White an all-star with the Celtics though? Or was he not? I don't remember. Bucks 2023 was that Holiday. 2004 Bucks was that Michael Redd? Yes. Yes. Ball knowledge elite. Spurs Wembenyama. Who else? Fox. 2022 Spurs. DeRozan. 2022 Spurs. Who was an all-star in the Spurs in 2022? But I'm gonna put Duncan. Gonna put Murray. Oh, Dejounte Murray. Duh. 2019, we're gonna put Aldridge. 2014, Parker. Ginobili. Robinson. And 1996. No, Gervin was way earlier than 1996. Clippers 2017, that was Jordan. Elton Brand, yep. The Hawks one is still fumble. Corver 2017. That was when they lost to the Cavs in the first round. Was Schroeder really an all-star? No. Carter. Okay, we're about halfway there. And we have 12 minutes left. Jazz. Gobert. Conley. 76ers Embiid. Maxey. Harris. Simmons. 2012. No. Thompson. How did I forget about Klay Thompson? Davis. Doncic. 2016. They had an all-star in 2016. Must have been Kobe Bryant, right? Yeah. 2013. Oh, that was Dwight Howard, right? Yep. 2012 might have been Nash. No. 2012 Lakers. They had Gasol. 2011 though. Kings 2017. Cousins. Evans. No. Beal. The Wizards one is going to be impossible. Raptors, that was Barnes. Ingram. 2022. Anunoby. No, Anunoby was never an all-star. Oh, that was the Van Fleet all-star year. I forgot about that. 2020 Raptors, was that Lowry? Yeah. No. Okay, Bulls 2022. Was that Levine? 2014 Bulls. They might have had. That was. No, I don't remember that. 2026 Blazers. Who was an all star? Oh, Av. The 2009 Blazers. Yeah, because I'm totally going to get that. Brandon Roy. Yeah. Okay, 1994 might have been Drexler. Might have been Pippen. Who's Arvydas Sabonis wasn't on there. Hornets 2022 Ball. Grizzlies Morant 2025 Grizzlies. Oh, Jackson Jr. Magic Bankero Wagner. No. 2021 Magic. Who won an All Star in? Was that Aaron Gordon? No, Vucevic maybe. 2009. That was what's his face? Nelson, Jameer Nelson. Turkoglu. Hito Turkoglu might have not been an All Star. I don't know. Um, damn. A lot of these are like before I was born. 2014 Bulls, I should be able to get, but like at the same time, I don't know. The Nuggets, how did I not get Jokic out of there? 2019 Mavericks. Yep, the honoraries. 2022 Warriors. Poole wasn't an All Star, right? No. Oh, Wiggins. That 1 year of Wiggins. 2019 Nets. I put Durant. I put Irving. I put Russell. 2023 Jazz. Well, guess I'm holding this now. Um, Technical difficulties again. All right, I'm just gonna end the episode here. Um, I can't get this to freaking work. Maybe it's a sign that I shouldn't have done this, and to be better prepared to record outside, which I thought my mic could stand up, but I guess not. Um, yeah, we're just gonna end the episode here. Um, I was not gonna get the rest of those in trivia, to be honest. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I was definitely not gonna get those. And the 82 and 0, I feel like I can always do. Like every episode, I feel like I can do that. Um, let's see what. You know what? I'm gonna see what names I missed though, because there's still 6 minutes left. Millsap, 2017 Hawks. Duh. Tracy McGrady could have gotten. Matumbo for the Hawks could have gotten. Let's see. Any other notable names? David Lee for the Warriors could have gotten. Gary Payton for the Thunder Sonics could have gotten. Um, I guess I could have gotten Alonzo Mourning for the Heat. I forgot Dragic was an All Star with the Heat. Bosch, yeah. Tyson Chandler with the Knicks. Duh. Ron Artest with the Pacers. AI for the Pistons. Kind of forgot about that. I didn't put AI for the Sixers either. I put Iguodala, but I guess I might have spelled his name wrong. Alex English, I keep forgetting for the Nuggets. That's like a Nuggets name that I just need to implement into my brain. Chauncey Billups for the Nuggets makes sense. Marketing with the Jazz. I forgot he was in the Jazz in 2023 because he got traded that year, right? That offseason. Because Donovan Mitchell got to the Cavs summer of 2022. And so that's the first year when Marketing was in the Jazz uniform. That makes sense. Boozer could have gotten Brooke Lopez for the Nets. Barkley for the Sixers. Joakim Noah for the Bulls. I forgot he was an All Star that year, and he didn't he get like MVP votes or something. Luol Deng, yeah, sure. Blazers wouldn't have gotten any. Kings probably could have gotten Chris Webber. Other than that, no other names. Yeah, the Hornets bought Caps. No. Grizzlies could have gotten Zach Randolph. Pelicans, I just completely missed. I didn't put Zion on there. The Magic, did not know Grant Hill played for the Magic. Could have gotten McGrady for sure. Um, yeah, those are about the notable names I missed. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna end the episode here. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys in the next episode. Make sure to follow me on all social media, Boxes and Elbows, or Ty.Allen81 on Instagram. Um, and yeah, I'll be posting content everywhere more often. Episodes Mondays, Fridays. See ya.